Well, in New York, we have never had this fast a first round, not since maybe it was a 12-team league. 3 quarterbacks selected in the first 8 picks. Luck, RG3, and Tannehill, 4 in all with Brandon Weeden. 4 Alabama players went in the first round. There are 8 trades made in the first round. Quarterback, wide receiver from Baylor and Oklahoma State went. 2 Notre Dame first-rounders for the first time since '94. Boise State had only had 2 first-rounders in the history of their program till tonight, and they had 2 all told. You know what? We're going to have to review this thing with John and Mel when we come back in a moment.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Levy. You just know it's a special show.
Huge.
Carl Ravitch has dropped by the SportsCenter Top 10 room. Those of you watching the draft, not to worry. We've been watching everything else.
Right. Levy drafted me. We also have been getting your tweets during the night. Hashtag SC Top 10. We'll have all the great plays. There were a bunch of them.
SportsCenter coming up. Back in the first round.
ESPN's coverage of the 2012 NFL Draft is presented by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go. And in part by GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL. And the new film, G.I. Joe Retaliation, June 29th. This film is not yet rated.
Back in New York, I mean, it's just 10 minutes past 11 Eastern. It's not even dinner time in Hawaii. And we're done with the first round, a new speed record. A lot of things happen, though. Quarterbacks flying. Coach, your impressions of round 1.
I like Melvin Ingram going to San Diego. I thought that was the pick of the night for me.
In New England, you got to improve your defense. You get 2 players, Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower.
We have plenty more thoughts coming up here, but SportsCenter never expected to be on at this time. Steve and Carl had to hustle into the studio to get ready. For Mel Kiper and John Gruden and all of us here in New York, thanks for watching round 1 of
The lights stay on in this city. The heat stays up in this room. Your confidence still high. You heard the names, saw the smiles, but your time will come. Keep believing that you belong in the brotherhood of the very best.
Welcome to my city, big dreams, lights and dollars. This the big leagues, big homies, you out of college. Pull up with your family, the cameras and red carpets at last. All your life you work hard to get to the draft. Mets stop the Super Bowl, Nets stop the Hall of Fame. It all starts when the commissioner calls your name. I wish you luck, love, prosperity, the best career. You are the brightest light, it all happens here. The draft is on.
This is the 2012 NFL Draft presented by Bud Light.
And welcome everybody to Radio City Music Hall in New York City, night 2 of the 2012 NFL Draft, presented by Bud Light. Radio City Music Hall opened its doors Christmas time 1932. And here almost 80 years later, its hosts now become the regular home for the NFL Draft, gavel to gavel. First round last night, rounds 2 and 3 tonight, rounds 4 through 7 in the afternoon and early evening tomorrow. Hi, everybody. Glad to be with us. These are really good players we're going to see drafted tonight. I'm Chris Berman, along with a couple of really good players here. Coach John Gruden won a Super Bowl almost 10 years ago. You're still young.
Time flies.
Nice to see you. Mel Kiper, another draft for you. Another day, another you-know-what, right?
You got it, man.
What position, if any, we heard Bill Polian, might we see a runner in this round?
I think there's 6 offensive tackles that can come in and play early. Keep an eye on that position.
I like the fact that you have major college stars still on the board. Courtney Upshaw, linebacker from Alabama. You think about Kendall Reyes, defensive lineman from Connecticut. Kobe Fleener, tight end from Stanford. What he meant to Andrew Luck in that offense, still on the board. A big guy like Cordy Glenn can play guard or tackle, still on the board. Some pretty good defensive tackles still there. In addition to Reyes, Jarrell Worthy, still at Penn State. Davon Still. A lot of players like that available. And I'm excited about round 2, Boom, because these round 2 kids, in a lot of cases, will outproduce the guys that went in round 1. They come in hungry. They come in with a lot to prove. They come in with a chip on their shoulder.
Round 2 and 3 are going to be the best players at a certain position in most cases that you draft. We saw 4 quarterbacks go yesterday. How many in the second round? 3, 2, 4? What do we think? How many?
I think 3.
3?
I think 3 is a good call, Chris.
So 7 in the first 2 rounds? Is that it's about average these days.
It's going to be fun to see, and I think to follow and chart where these guys go, because if they go second round, you're expecting them to be starters.
Yes.
If they drop to the 3rd or 4th, then all bets are off. Then it's kind of open. But second round quarterbacks are expected to be the guy.
Well, we have guys going to the second round who are hoping to go in the first, but they stayed. We have a handful of players, half dozen in the green room, and we still have at the podium the commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell. So let's kick it off here for round 2 with the boss.
Good evening, football fans. Welcome back to prime time and rounds 2 and 3 of the 2002 NFL Draft. More outstanding players are going to be selected tonight, and we have a special treat for you. We have a number of great former NFL players here to announce their team's picks. So here we go with the start of round 2. Thank you for joining us. The St. Louis Rams are on the clock.
So that'll be fun to see some of the great. We'll wait till they walk up to the podium to see some players that everybody out there enjoyed watching play, and some that haven't played for a long time. It'll be good to see them back in the limelight again. So here are the St. Louis Rams, who traded down twice. Let's remember now, if you didn't watch us last night or you're kind of forgotten, Jeff Fisher, who for years and years and years, of course, dates back even at the end of the Houston Oilers and forever at the Tennessee Titans, after a year out of the game is now the head coach of the St. Louis Rams. Year 3 with quarterback Sam Bradford. They, at 2-14, had the same record, the worst in the league, as the Indianapolis Colts. So the St. Louis Rams, who traded down twice, they got Michael Brockers yesterday, defensive tackle, LSU. Remember, they also were going to have Greg Williams as defensive coordinator. He, of course, suspended indefinitely as part of the penalties handed down to the New Orleans Saints. Although Jeff Fisher and several of the members on his staff, Dave McGinnis and Chuck Cecil, know their way around the defensive side of the football, so that'll take care of itself. The Rams this year, I guess, got to see if Sam Bradford, with enough help, can do the job, right, John?
Yes, and they also need to find some receivers that can get open. We had them against the Giants last year, Mel. No one could separate. I know Danny Amendola comes back, he was hurt. Brandon Gibson hasn't been the answer. They have to find a big receiver that they can start featuring in St. Louis, like Kurt Warner had with Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. There's just nobody on this roster that can make a play in the passing game.
And John, if you go back to yesterday, missed by 1 pick of Justin Blackman, by 1 pick of Michael Floyd. Then they get Michael Brockers, who's a run-stuffing defensive tackle. You have Long, you have Quinn on the defensive end spots, fine. But you need right now a corner, you need an offensive tackle, and you got to get Bradford a weapon. Like I said, he missed out on 2 guys yesterday. A lot of receivers still there right now for the St. Louis Rams. Remember, they have 3 picks between this choice and the middle of the second round.
You know, the plot has changed a lot in St. Louis because a year ago, not last season, but in 2010, at 7-9, I mean, they tied, if you will, Seattle. Seattle won the division. Now at 2-14, they had a team in the division that won 13 games last year, San Francisco. So they start the year 11 games in the hole, if you will. Not really, everybody starts anew, but it shows you all of a sudden in 1 year how the whole tone of a division can change. So they got a lot of ground to make up all of a sudden, Coach.
They average 12 points a game, Chris. You're not going to beat anybody scoring 12 points a game, especially in this league, the way teams are opening formations and throwing the football and scoring. They need a playmaker at wide receiver.
Chad, you got to help your quarterback. I think too many teams get a young quarterback and they forget about him. They leave him out on an island, and then they say, why did he disappoint? Well, he's disappointed because you didn't give him any weapons. Go back to the Houston Texans with David Carr. Sam Bradford needs help. They went for Brockers yesterday when they missed out on the wide receivers. You got to address offense with some of these picks in round 2.
And I hope the Rams get good again so they can still utilize the talents of Steven Jackson before it's too late. He's a